Back to attack like the Oakland Raiders. In and out like your crossfaders. What up, what up, what up? I'm back. Here we are again with another edition of Checkerboard Floor, the podcast that takes history, dissects it, and rips it apart. I got my sweater on today. You see? Feeling kind of cold out here. Winter is here. It ain't coming. It's here. It's cold. I woke up today. It was 65 degrees in the house. I had to turn the heater on. That's right, y'all. I had to turn that heater on. And I really don't like doing that. AC and heat. Yeah, with these bills. Yeah, I don't really like turning that on too much. Yeah. But I had to turn that on today because it was a little cold. Well, what else is going on today? Israel is fighting, Pakistan or whoever they fighting. I really don't have anything to say about that because that's not my fight. For foundational Black Americans here in the United States, we have our own problems. And you can best believe that Israel is not going to look at us or help us in any type of way. Not foundational Black Americans. They will not stand up and fight. Israel, to be in Israel is like a holy land to them. But you must understand, Black racism occurs in Israel too. Okay? There's Jewish people, there's Black Jews in Israel that are racially discriminated against. Okay? So, to cape for them at this point in time, nah, I can't do that. We have our own problems here. And that kind of leads me into what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about symbolism today. Okay? Symbolism. I had to look up symbolism because I really needed to know what it meant. And symbolism means the art or practice of using symbols, an intangible symbolic investment, invisible. So what does that mean? When you give someone something that's symbolic, what does that mean? Because election time is coming up now, and I'm really starting to see symbolism for foundational Black Americans, especially for the Democratic Party. The Democrats, their major voting bloc is Black people, foundational Black Americans. That's a huge part of them getting into the office, getting into the White House. So when you have a foundational Black American voter bloc behind you, you're pretty much going to make it. But we have to start asking ourselves, what are we getting for our vote? Because in the 40s and 50s, a lot of Black folks was just voting because it's their right. You have a right to vote, so I'm going to vote. Get out there and vote. Well, we can vote now. It's a right to vote. Everybody on the line, let's go vote. What are you getting for your vote? We have to start asking ourselves, what do we get for our Black vote? You put them in office, they promise you certain things. They don't even promise you anything now that I think of it. They don't promise you anything. They just say, vote because it's your right. But everyone gets things when they vote. The Latinos get programs. The Asians get programs. Islanders get programs. Foreigners, Pakistanis, Ukrainians, everyone gets something when they get here. But foundational Black Americans, what do we get? Being that we've been here the longest, and we are the voting bloc that gets the Democrats in. So I started looking into symbolism. What really set this off was that Martin Luther King statue that they just unveiled. The Martin Luther King statue, that they unveiled is a statue of him hugging, I guess, Coretta King, his wife. I think that's who he's hugging. And it just shows the arms and the upper torso. That's what we get. Not the face of King, not what he stood for, but a couple of arms hugging in the back. Symbolism. Nothing. You go to the Martin Luther King Jr.'s memorial, not the memorial, the museum. And what's standing out front of the Martin Luther King Museum? Gandhi. Here we are at Martin Luther King Jr.'s museum, and they have a statue of Gandhi out front. Yeah, that's symbolism. That's something's wrong there. Gandhi was an anti-black racist, if you don't know. Gandhi spoke ill of black folks and thought that we were of the lower class of humanity, if you didn't know. So there's no... King spoke on Gandhi because of Gandhi's principles. So he really spoke on that. So they took that, flipped it, and made it like Gandhi was the progenitor of marching for black people and keeping black people at bay. No, it didn't happen like that. Gandhi was a staunch racist towards black people. Okay? So, symbolism, nothing. Then I started realizing we're getting into the voting time frame. We're about to go into go into elections. We're going to go into elections now. Biden and Harris are in the toilet with their voter block from black people because people are waking up to the symbolism. They're realizing that we're not getting anything. Kamala Harris, or Kamami Harris, told black people in the interview that she had, I'm not doing anything for black people. I'm not doing anything for black people. She literally, like I'm doing my face and stepping back, she went into convulsions when she was asked what was she going to do. So Kamala, what are you going to do specifically for black Americans? I'm not going to do anything just for black people. See, her body language, it took her into a how dare you. Well, why are you saying this about Kamala Harris? She's black. Kamala Harris is an Indian, okay? And her dad, that's on her mom's side. And then on her dad's side, he's from the Caribbean islands. I want to say, is she Jamaican? You know, I would have to go into more research, but she's not a foundational black American. She's an immigrant. She comes from an immigrant background. So her agenda isn't for us. She's not going to do anything for black folks, strictly for black people. Are you crazy? Yeah, she told you straight up what she's going to do, and this is the vice president of the United States. But now that it's election time, what is she doing? The 50th anniversary of hip-hop. She got Lil Wayne at her house. You know, bring out the collard greens. You see her standing in front of her refrigerator with the collard greens packages and, yeah, Common and Tribe Called Quest. And she partying it up. And she's blacking it up now because it's election time. Symbolism. She's not going to do anything for us. She wants to vote, but she's not going to do anything for us. Let's go to Biden. Biden states that if you don't vote for him, then you're not black. How dare him? How dare him? If you don't vote for him, you're not black. But what have you done for black people, Biden? other than symbolism. Okay? He started, okay, so I literally had to look this up because I just couldn't believe. Maybe I'm wrong. What has he done for black people? Let's just go there and see what exactly has he done for black people, because maybe I'm wrong and I'm putting the 2 on the 10 and maybe I'm wrong. So I looked it up. What has Biden administration done for black Americans? And it says that he started the economic opportunity for black families and communities by signing into the law Historic American Rescue Plan. Oh, okay, maybe he did something for us. The American Rescue Plan. Okay, what is the American Rescue Plan? It's lowering energy costs and creating economic opportunity through inflation reduction. Okay, that's what he got for us? He gonna lower energy costs? Okay, what is he gonna do? What does that mean? President Biden is delivering on his promise to build an economic that works for working families. There we have a problem. Working families, that's everybody. That's not just black folks. Including black families. Oh yeah, he threw that in at the end. So it ain't strictly for black people, it's for everybody, including black families. But I thought this was what he's doing for black people. Why are we included at the end? Well, let's go on. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he did something. Let's see. Americans who have been at the front line of climate change. So he's giving us something for climate change? That's what we get? Okay, let's see. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. Making home efficiency upgrades more affordable. This is what he's doing for black people. Okay, and what does that mean? Households can save up to 30% with tax credits for efficient heating and cooling equipment that will save them hundreds of dollars on utility bills. Okay, let me just scroll down off the nonsense. Okay, creating economic opportunities and good paying jobs. Okay, what does that mean? Maybe he got something there for us. Let's see what he got there. The solar project development in environmental justice community by providing a 20% bonus credit for solar projects on federally subsidized affordable housing projects. That's what he got for black folks? We don't need 10% bonus credits for solar projects. I don't need that. I would like my reparations check. I would like my check for the atrocities that were done historically, that we were systematically put into a situation of degradation and segregation and improper jailing and improper housing and improper just total backlash for being black. I want my check. That's what I'm looking for. I don't need a 10% bonus for solar projects. Let me keep reading. And this is from the White House. This is the White House, what is this called? What is this bullshit called? This is the White House briefing fact sheet. The Biden-Harris administration advances equity and opportunity for black Americans and communities across America. Right there we have a problem. Opportunities for black Americans and communities across the country. This is what they're offering black people. This is when you ask yourself, what have they done for black people and what exactly are they going to give black people? This is what they're giving us. 10% bonuses off solar for federal housing projects. If you're living in federal housing projects, this is what they got for you. Wow. Wow, man. It's I really don't even want to keep reading all this ignorant nonsense. You know, I just want to get to it because we are being bamboozled out here. It goes back to the Immigration Act. Do you even know what the laws are for immigrating, for black people immigrating here? The constitutional laws that was set up here in the United States that are in law now? There's an Immigration Act. In 1790, they did the Naturalization Act. This was the very first act for immigration coming in here. And that law states that you can become a citizen of the United States if you are white. This is for whites only. Those that are not idiots, those that are not criminals, you got to be here for 2 years and then you can become a citizen. That was the first Immigration Act. There was nothing else. Not black people, not non-whites, whites only. That's number one. That was in 1790. Remember, blacks are here. We're enslaved already. We're already here. Slavery started in the 1600s. This is 1790. Slavery won't be over until 1865. So we're here. But you can't bring your people here. You can't bring people from Africa or the diaspora here because that's not allowed here in the United States. This isn't what I'm saying. This is the United States Immigration Act. This is law. 1882, the Immigration Act. We just went up about from 1790, now we're at 1882. They're going to start bringing people in, but we're going to tax them 50 cents per person that are coming in here on boats. This is the Immigration 50 Cent Act. What we're going to do, we're going to take that 50 cents and we're going to put it in a fund. So all the immigrants that come here will pay 50 cents. And then when they get here, this will help us pay for their housing. This will help their language barriers, their different problems that they have. This will help fund that situation. So we're going to take their money, put it into a coffers, and use that to fund them while they're here. We're not going to give them anything extra. We're going to fund them. Okay? Then 1892. No, that's too far. 1880, from 1882, let's say at 1882, the 50 Cent Act. Okay, then they started bringing in immigrants. They started bringing in a lot of Asians, Chinese. That's when Chinese really started coming in, and they started working on the railroads. That's why you hear the Chinese talking about, we've been here, we built the railroads. No, you didn't build the railroads. You started coming here in big numbers in the 1800s to finish the railroads that black foundational Americans had already built. We've already cleared the lands of the sticks and the trees and the roads and started laying the tracks. The Chinese came in and started expanding it. It already went from the south. They started expanding the expansion from here to the west. That's what the Chinese came in and did. They didn't build the railroads. They came in and they were getting paid. So they started flooding the system. So being that they came here, started flooding the immigration, they started an Exclusion Act in 1880 because they started coming in after 1790. They started coming in. So they were here, you know, started started the immigration then, but in 1880, too many of them were here, and they had these opioid dens, these opioid dungeons where they were just laying around high all day, and you know they would work, but it was too many of them here. So they started an act, and it's called the Chinese Exclusion Act in 1880, which stopped Chinese from coming here for 10 years. No more Chinese can immigrate here for the next 10 years. There's too many of them here. So that's why you see Chinatowns in every town. They started coming here, starting their own economies. You couldn't speak, the Europeans that were here in the foundation of Black America, we couldn't speak their language, so that was their fence. They had a language barrier. They started opening up their own restaurants, banking systems, schooling systems. They were like, no, we can't have that. So they stopped them from coming in 1880, the Chinese Exclusion Act. For 10 years, they wouldn't let Chinese people come in here to immigrate. Moving on up to about 1892, the Gary Act. They started the Gary Act. They realized that Chinese people it's a stronghold now. They're here. The people that were here could stay. They weren't letting any more come in. So they said, we're going to expand that for another 10 years. Chinese people can't immigrate here. For another 10 years, in 1892, they wouldn't allow Chinese to immigrate here in big numbers. So they cut that down, but they were already here. Then they started in 1920, the Quota Act. The Quota Act was based on your nationality. The people that were here, whatever nationality that you were here, only 3% of your people, like suppose I'm black, only 3% of my people can come here. But I was already flooded by immigrants all over the world, so their numbers are higher than ours now. So 3% of their numbers dominates 3% of our numbers coming here. So they allowed only 3% to come, which was a minute thing because they weren't allowing black people to come here in numbers. They had a Haitian Act later on down the line for refugees, but they really didn't push that. But then in 1942, after World War II, they started an agreement with Mexico, okay? This is when they started a labor act allowing Mexicans to come in big numbers to be the labor force. This is in 1942. 1865, slavery was over. We were the labor force in the United States. There was no United States. We were the labor force here on this land until it became the United States. And then in 1865, we were allowed to not be slaves anymore. You still were conquered. You still were segregated. You still were ran. You still didn't own any businesses. You still didn't have anything, but you're just not technically a slave anymore in 1865. So who's going to be the labor force then? The Chinese. They started allowing the Immigration Act, letting the system be flooded by Chinese. They were the laundry workers. They were they took over where black people aren't going to get anything else. So now the Asians take over in the sense of labor, but they were getting paid. Black folks didn't get paid at all. We didn't get anything up to that point. And then after that point, you had to have a contract by January 1st as working for someone. If you didn't have that contract as a black person by January 1st in 1865, you were to be jailed and put back on the plantations. This is where we're at. So 1942, World War II, after World War II, they agreed to let Mexicans come in and be the labor force. This is when you start seeing a lot of Mexicans come in, and they were working in the fields, they were working in people's homes, they were working during the labor force, and that and for the Mexican population, that even carries on from 1942, which is that I was born in 1972, so that it's still carrying on today. But now, being that we're bordered with Mexico, they're walking across the border in numbers that are just dominating now. So most Mexican Americans are in the labor force still. They're management, and they're looking out for their people. They're opening up in every city of their own segregated areas where they have their own stores, their own businesses, you know, and I'm really not mad at them because they're doing what they're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do. As foundational Black Americans, we had that also. We had sections in the country where we were self-sufficient in every city. It wasn't just in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We had it in Oakland, California. We had downtown Oakland where they had our own businesses. We had our own stores. We had our own taxi cab services. You go to North Carolina where they had the bus lines and taxi cab services and movie theaters. We had our own, but being that this is a white supremacist country, Black people are being undermined. This is what I have to drive home to people, because a lot of people say, oh, Black people just need to work harder and pull themselves up by the bootstraps and stop being lazy. And we are the only group that's being undermined. When you go in for a loan, for a business loan, you're being undermined. When you try to buy property, even if you have the money, you're being undermined. When you try to get real estate, when you try to buy homes, Black homes are always appraised at lower values than white homes. You move white, then okay, so now white people buy it up, but once the white people get those real estate properties, now it's higher now. We're being undermined. I hate to say it, but it's the reality of the game, man. It is what it is. Symbolism. We're not getting anything, but we're getting a bunch of symbolism, which takes me back to this voting that's coming up. The voting season is here, and you're going to start seeing a lot of symbolism with the Kamala Harrises and the Joe Biden, the Joe Do-Nothing Bidens. These people have nothing for foundational Black Americans. They never have, and they never will. It's a law that you can't do anything for Black people in this land. I'm not just saying this. You guys have to research this stuff and realize this stuff is in law. You can't do anything for Black people to help them in significant numbers. It's just what it is. You're in a white supremacist land that was built on the back of Black labor, slaves. So don't think that now it's going to be fair, because you have to realize everything that Black people has been given in this land, really on this planet, because white supremacy is global. But everything that we've been given, you've been lied to. The schooling system, lied to. The school system was put into play after 1865 in big numbers to create a labor force. It wasn't teaching you how to own businesses. It was teaching you what to learn and then go into working for people. Remember, there was a time when you had wood shop and you had iron workers where you would learn welding. Remember home ec You learn how to cook and bake. This was in my time. So imagine before me, school was geared towards labor, teaching them how to work, not own. So you lied in the school system, you lied in the banking system. The banking system is set up strictly for big corporation, not for the average person. We've been lied to there. We've been lied to on housing. Okay, at one point, when blacks owned a majority of their stakes in black cities, they would run freeways through them. Freeways and disrupt the economy. And all the white people got the hell on. They moved up to started the thing called the suburbs. And black people couldn't move to suburbs, wherever you was coming from in this nation. You had to stay in your segregated areas. But if your areas have freeways ran through them, and you have highways disrupting the economy, and you have disruption and forces against you to bring it down, what are you going to do at that point? So symbolism, man, it's not a good thing. And with this election season coming up, you're going to start seeing a lot of that. You got to start noticing that they're going to offer you nothing for your vote. So if you're going to vote, only vote for those that are giving you something tangible. They're going to give you something that's going to be tangible, not intangible, not something that's a dream. No more marches, no more collard green, no more Clyburn fish fries where they're giving you catfish nuggets if you come out and vote. No more shake your booty to the polls. Everything that's pertaining to buying the black vote isn't anything tangible. It's always something degenerate or degrading and I just need you guys to start noticing these things I'm telling you. That's what you're getting for your vote. You don't get an act for you that protects your people, like the Asians got the COVID-19 Asian Act, which protects Asians, Hawaiians, and indigenous Philippines. It protects them. It gives them a law stating that if you do anything to them racially, if the police have to harm them or anybody harms them in any type of way, you are to be reported to the FBI. Here we are, black folks, the most deprived race of people on the planet, especially in the United States, coming from chattel slavery, and we don't even have a black act that protects us. Here you are with Asians. Some dusty nigga did something to an Asian in a street corner, and now they have a law stating that you cannot harm Asians or Island Pacificers or Hawaiians or anything of that nature. You don't think something's wrong there? So yeah, symbolism. Be aware of it. Be proactive. If you got to vote for only something that's for anyone that's going to do something for foundational black Americans only. That's your vote. If not, don't vote. Don't go there because you think I'm voting because I have the right to vote. If you're not getting anything, that doesn't matter. Vote locally in your states because those laws affect you directly. But when it comes to the federal, the big vote, stay out of it. When it comes to the presidency, unless they're going to offer you something tangible, just don't vote. Get out of the process. Because when they see that we're not voting and they see that we're demanding something now, they're going to notice that if a person, because when a people don't vote and you're not having anything, then you start thinking we need to figure something else out. So then you start looking for other alternatives to fix your problem, and that's scary to the establishment. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. This is the checkerboard floor, and I'm out.